They're politicians. No politician is ever going to be a plus 10. At best, they're going to be a 7. At best.
7 is still pretty high.
Yeah,
Well,
just put a link.
I got one that's higher than a 7 in my book. He's a plus 10 in my book.
Who?
Shut up, shut up, shut up. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I
Bobby
don't.
Jindal.
No, I love Bobby Jindal, but he's not the one. The one is Scott Walker. That's
Wow.
the one.
I'm sorry, I
That
was
is
so asleep.
That runs counter to some of the other stuff that we've heard here. We've actually had discussions on Scott Walker and his viability as a candidate. A lot of people bringing up his lack of charisma or whatever.
Waring might be an asset this time.
He's a regular guy, and that's how he won his first governor election. Was I'm the guy in a pickup truck with a brown bag that goes to work every day.
I remember that.
And he did it. And here's the thing: if he wins this November, which he will, he'll have won 3 straight white elections in a blue state and has completely turned the blue state around. And that's the other thing we actually need is our own transformational president, except he's going to transform the country back to what it's supposed to be and not what it's being turned into.
I don't like that messaging, quite frankly. That's something else that I want to talk about is the idea of us going back to the way things were or anything like that. Because I think that I don't think that helps. I think that we want to get better going forward. I think that the dominoes example that Rand Paul brought up during CPAC was a good one of acknowledging the bad crust, acknowledging the stuff that wasn't right, that didn't go well, and move forward in a more positive direction and change the, instead of saying, let's go back to the good old days of Reagan or go back to the good old days of whenever. Let's find some new good days. Let's try.
Yeah, let's move forward to something new and exciting. Yay!
But what I mean is that instead of doing what we're doing now, which is transitioning into this Leviathan quasi-socialist, quasi-social democracy that we can't fund, let's head back towards free market capitalism because that's what works.
Again,
you can't say that way.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with going to free market capitalism, but the messaging, from a messaging standpoint, saying going back to something is never, it's not. I think helpful. I think go forward. We are a people that we want to have freedom. We want to have the ability to
we need to decentralize. We need to, because centralization is all one size fits all. We can decentralize and let everybody customize the way they do things and let everybody have their own individual freedom.
Which is the same message. Yes. It's the same message as giving people more freedom. It's the same message as unleashing the economy. It's the same message as making entrepreneurs' lives easier, but it's just phrased a completely different way in a dynamic that reaches people who hear free market capitalism and they zone out because they were sleeping on their desk in Econ 101.
Right.
Exactly. That's the thing, and you have to deal with that. Would it be better if we had a more economically sound electorate? Would that be better if we had people who had read a book by Thomas Sowell, and every voter had to read this? Would it be great if they did? Yeah, sure, that would be fine. That would be great. We would have a whole different situation.
At this point, I just want them to have an ID.
That's not the case. They don't do that. We have to figure out how to take these concepts that we know are great, that we know are correct, and we need to say them in ways and make people understand them in ways that are, easy, that are relatable, that are, things that, you understand when a restaurant in your area, gets rated by, the USDA because they had an ingredient there that's on a list because it's an anticoagulant, and oh my God, how could you have this there because it's no. They know what they're doing with. These are experts. These guys know what they're doing with the ingredients that they have, and they're coming into a restaurant. They're rating your raw milk because they know better than you. You want to go and you want to have these products, you want to do that stuff, and they're taking away your choices, they're taking away your options. That's how we need to approach it. We need to approach it by the fact that in California you aren't able to, you aren't allowed to have foie gras on your menu because why? There are things that we can do to illustrate exactly what government is doing to limit your freedoms, to limit what you can do, and that's not what we stand for. And we need to be able to articulate that in a way that is understandable.
I like that. Limited government, unlimited possibilities. That's a trademark, Felicia Cravens.
Thank you very much.